All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to be talking about our top 5 positional college football prospects entering this year's draft. We're going to start out with quarterbacks.
Right.
And we're going to start off with quarterbacks. Who do you have in your top 5?
My number one quarterback is Dwayne Haskins out of Ohio State. He's got a good arm, has a little bit of technique issues, a little mechanical issues. Got a little, he floats some passes a little too high sometimes. Next up, I have Daniel Jones. He's very precise, doesn't necessarily have the elite arm strength though, but he seems to be a pretty good leader and he's very accurate. Kyler Murray, everyone knows about Kyler Murray, most electric player in college football. Doesn't really have the height for it, but he's able to make plays no matter what, and he's just one of those guys who, everything's against him, but he does it. He just goes out and does it. Next, I have Drew Lock, big arm, pretty accurate out of the SEC. He was able to produce pretty well. He seems to be a really great leader. That's what I've heard. He's got some Baker Mayfield type characteristics. He's got some swag to him. Will Greer, he's very similar to Drew Lock, maybe a little more accurate, maybe a little less arm strength, but they're very similar prospects in my opinion.
All right, my top 5 quarterbacks, I also have Haskins. I think he has great potential, great arm, but he's only had 1 year under his belt, so he's not really a sure thing, but he's a great prospect nonetheless.
And basic comp would be like Big Ben.
Yeah.
Pretty basic comp.
For my second, I have Kyler Murray, mainly because I think he's going to be a great electric player if he fits in the right team. I would actually really love to see him play for the Cardinals. I doubt that they go out to get him.
Yeah.
After that, maybe the Jags.
Yeah. They don't really have a coordinator for it.
And then I have Daniel Jones. He's a big-time thrower. I kind of think of him as kind of like a Josh Allen. Maybe not as mobile. Maybe a poor man's version of a Josh Allen.
I don't think he's athletic or has the arm.
I know he has some athleticism to him. Yeah. He doesn't have the big arm, but he can make.
He's accurate.
He's
really
been
accurate.
and he's been in the system, the NFL system. Then I have Drew Lock. I think he's going to be all right. I'm not really that high on him. I could see him being a bust pretty easily.
Yeah.
Mainly because I didn't think he played that well in his bowl game, in the big time spotlight.
Yeah.
And then number 5, you got a head coach's son, Kyle Shermer from Vandy. He's excelled pretty well at Vandy. I think he's gonna adapt well to the West Coast NFL system.
Yeah.
Maybe even become an NFL starter one day.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. I'm not going to put him in my top 5, but he's a solid prospect. All right, next up, we're going to talk about running backs. I started before, so why don't you go ahead and start with your top 5?
All right, for my first running back that I really like is Josh Jacobs. I think in the championship game we saw that he was the most electric player on the Bama's running back core.
Yeah.
I feel like a great spot for him would be in
Anywhere.
Yeah, I guess you could put him anywhere because he can make plays.
Yeah.
David Montgomery, I think it'd be nice to see him on the Packers. Get Ty Montgomery's little brother. Are they related?
I don't believe so.
Oh, we're not related.
No.
Well, that would be pretty funny if they were, and he'd go to the Packers.
Yeah.
The Packers do need a running back next to Aaron Rodgers, and they just got.
I like Aaron Jones.
Yeah, but they need a guy like Derrick Henry. He's not like Derrick Henry, but
yeah, I was about to say
they need a stable because Matt LaFleur.
Whatever you say.
Number 3, I think Wes Hills. He's going to be a great prospect coming out of the draft. He's going to be a great middle round steal for a team that may want that feature back. Maybe Tampa Bay.
Yeah, he's going to be a great punt returner.
Yeah, that too.
He reminds me of Darren Sproles.
It's very dynamic.
Yeah.
And at 4, I have Bryce Love. I like Bryce Love mainly because he's shown the ability to carry a workload, and he's been able to catch out of the backfield, do a little bit of everything like Christian McCaffrey did. Maybe not to the extent of what Christian McCaffrey did, but he was still a great player for Stanford, and he's in at number 4 for me. And then at number 5, I have what's his face? Oh, Karan Higdon. Whatever.
Yeah.
From Michigan. I think he's going to be a great. I forget who
He's a really good all-around back.
I forget who he reminds me of, but he reminds me of like
Ahmad Bradshaw.
Yeah, kind of like a short, thick back that can also turn on the jets whenever he needs to.
Yeah.
Maybe not your every down back, but he's a great change of pace back that can help you throw him down.
Yeah, my number one is David Montgomery because he just shows all the tools to be your elite number one running back in the NFL, and he just has the tools for it. Josh Jacobs, he's going to be my number two. He's someone that I will probably eventually move into my number one, depending on how he tested the combine, because I think he's a guy who, if he wasn't at Alabama where he shared the workload, he'd be a guy that's comparable to like Saquon and Ezekiel Elliott. I think he has that type of talent. So that speaks for itself why he's at number two. Number three was Darrell Henderson. He was a running back at Memphis. He shared the load a little bit with Tony Pollard, but he's a very explosive running back. He's got great vision, and he's a little bit smaller, but he's not afraid to run it up the middle, and he'll put people on their backs. Number four, I had Damian Harris. Everyone saw what he could do at Alabama. He was kind of their number one option. Great out of the backfield, and just a pretty good all-around runner. Might want to, in my opinion, he's not really a great up-the-middle runner, but doesn't really have the speed to get to the outside. So that's why I have him at number four. A lot of people have him as the number one running back. So he came down my board a little bit. Number five, I have Benny Snell. He's your typical get down the hill, very vertical runner. He's not gonna be a receiver. He's not gonna be someone to stretch the field laterally. He's gonna be very downhill running back. Just give me the ball, go straight down, and he's just your traditional running back. And Wes Hills, he's a very explosive player.
Yeah, well, whenever we thought of these lists, we went into the mindset that we did not want to have the same people in both of our lists. So if you see any discrepancies that you may think are blunders or something, it's because of that.
Yeah, and I did mine first, so I did mine more accurately to my
liking.
Yeah, and Noah just kind of went off and brought some attention to guys who people won't really talk about as much.
People I like that are
maybe more
underrated.
Late round.
We started with me last time. We're gonna go right back to Trent.
So we're gonna keep flip flopping.
We're just gonna keep flip flopping.
All right, my number one was DK Metcalf. His play style reminds me a lot of Josh Gordon's. He's able to stretch the field, but he's got reliable hands and just a very solid wide receiver all around. Josh Gordon without the off field. Number two, I had Deebo Samuel. He's a very electric player. He's a little undersized, but he excelled in the jump ball scenarios, and he's a guy you can get in the open field, and he's going to make plays for you no matter what. Number three, I had N'Keal Harry. That's everyone's number one. He's a big guy. I don't necessarily. He's good at open field, making people miss, but I don't know if he has that. I don't know if he has the technique to beat a press, and I don't think he has the speed to make up for it either. So there's just some questions there with him, and his route running's a little shaky. He's very athletic, and he
does have great hands.
Yeah, he has great hands. He's pretty athletic, but there's just too many questions for me to put him as my number one. Number four, I have Marquise Brown. He's a very good wide receiver. He's probably going to be the fastest guy at the combine. He's a great route runner. He's not like John Ross, where he ran like 2 or 3 routes at Washington. Very solid route runner. He's able to get open.
Slants and streaks.
Yeah, he's able to get open no matter what. He's got pretty solid hands, but whenever I dive deeper into the tape, he might move up a little bit more. Calvin Harmon, I think he's a great wide receiver. Reminds me a lot of Michael Thomas. Just able to get open. Even when he's not open, he's open. If he has a combine where he runs a 4.5 or below, he'll easily move up to my number one.
All right, with my board, I have Marquise Brown at 1. I mainly put him at 1 though because I believe he's going to be the first wide receiver taken off the board because of his ability to stretch the field and teams really wanting these deep threats. I think he's going to mimic Brandon Cooks in the NFL. At 2, I have DK Metcalf. I think he's the best Ole Miss wide receiver, but it's not by a lot, but I think he's going to be very solid. He's going to be an all-around wide receiver. He's not going to take the top off, but he's going to be a deep.
He can take the top off.
He's going to be a deep threat. He's going to be a red zone threat, and he can do the possession catches that you need across the middle in this day and age. At 3, I have Paris Campbell from Ohio State. I think he's a great weapon from Ohio State. Ohio State usually produces great wide receivers, and there should be no reason why he's not going to be taken by the end of the 3rd round. At 4, I have N'Keal Harry. He's N'Keal.
Yeah, you said Keneal.
But it's K.
It's N-K.
It's not N.
It's like N apostrophe K.
It's Keneal.
Oh, really?
That's
Then
coming.
I said it wrong. My bad.
Yeah. Anyways, he made some spectacular catches at Arizona State. He's a big body. He's somebody that corners aren't going to want to go against because I expect him to be physical, but from every tape that I've seen, he's lazy. He doesn't run his routes hard, and he's got too many. He doesn't seem like he's going to be that great of a wide receiver in my opinion. I mean, I think he can be great, but I don't think he's going to be great. He's not going to be as great as what everybody wants him or thinks that he can be.
Yeah.
And then at 5, I've got a little sleeper here from Northwestern State. He was a 5-star recruit out of Louisiana. He was at LSU. His name's Jazz Ferguson. He's about 6'5", and if he runs well at the combine, be on the lookout for him because he can make any catch on any part of the field. Can run any route that you want him to run. He can do anything short, deep, beats his man, can get off press very well, and I kind of think he might have a Stephon Diggs type of rise in the NFL, being that 5-star that lost track and then came back in the NFL and did a lot of success.
Yeah, he didn't leave LSU for any performance issues. It was a academic issue,
And he also failed a drug test.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll do it for you.
Yeah.
All right, we're just going to keep it moving along. We're going to roll right into the tight ends. My number 1 tight end on my board is T.J. Hawkinson. He reminds me a lot of George Kittle. I think he's going to be a great all-around tight end. He's given 1 or 2 years to develop. He's going to be a weapon. That's in my opinion. He may not be the most athletic Iowa tight end or tight end in this draft class, but I feel like he's going to produce the best. My next tight end is Noah Fant. He's the other Iowa tight end, but he's the athletic version. He reminds me more of an Evan Ingram type player. He can make any catch, but he's not really that great of a blocker. He can run deep routes, short routes, intermediate routes, breaking in and out, requiring quick shifts of movement. Irv Smith, he's from Bama. He's big.
Less athletic O.J. Howard.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I was thinking of. Caleb Wilson, he's all right. He did well at UCLA. He's a great prospect for his size and maybe his speed.
Yeah, he's extremely athletic.
Yeah. And then at 5, I had Zach Gentry. Michigan tight end. He made some plays for Michigan. Was a great intermediate short tight end. Great on the corner routes, maybe fade balls, can block.
Yeah, my number 1 is going to be Noah Fant. Like you said, extremely athletic, able to make all the catches, run the routes, kind of a glorified wide receiver. But he's very good at just stealing the edge on blocks. It's not like he's incapable, but, he has his weaknesses. So that's that. Next up, I have Irv Smith, like we said. Slightly less athletic. O.J. Howard still has those same type of strength and weaknesses. So if you know about O.J. Howard, less athletic him. Next up, I had T.J. Hawkins. No, I had Caleb Wilson next up. He's very athletic tight end, very solid hands. Kind of similar to Noah Fant, but his production fell off a little bit. And if he had produced at that level, he would be up there with Noah Fant, in my opinion. Next up, I have T.J. Hawkinson. Like you said, he's a great run blocker.
Did you say T.J.?
No, Caleb Wilson. I mixed them up. T.J. Hawkinson, like you said, very physical run blocker, very good run blocker, and he's able to create space for himself and just make it work. And he's very good, reliable hands. Jay Sternberger, he's a pretty traditional tight end, where he can do both at an efficient level, but he's not great at blocking or receiving. He's just kind of reminds me of Heath Miller. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Heath Miller, but that's what I think of when I watch him play.
All right.
I've been stuttering a lot today.
It's all right.
That.
Offensive tackle.
Craig Little, Andre Diller, Jonah Williams. Craig Little, Andre Diller, Jonah Williams.
K-State.
Dalton Risner.
Big Ten. Brandon White. Wisconsin.
Oh, David Edwards.
I have Dillard, Jonah, Jawan Taylor, Kajust, and then somebody else.
Yodny Kajust. He's a guard. He's a guard.
He's playing tackle.
Hmm?
He's playing tackle for me.
He's either a right tackle or a guard.
Yeah.
I gotta get my new one.
Why?
Because mine went through the wash, so it's illegible. Yeah. You can't see the middle two numbers. Is it recording?
Si, senor.
Alright. Greg Little, Andre Dillard, Jonah Williams, Dalton Risner, David Edwards. No, you start this one.
I started with the tight ends.
Did you?
Yeah.
Alright, so next up we got the offensive tackles. My number one is Greg Little. I think he's a very versatile tackle. He can play left or right. He's going to be a franchise guy, swing tackle, very athletic, strong, just a sturdy player. Next up I have Andre Dillard. He's the best pass blocking tackle in the draft. He's very good at sealing off edges. Not necessarily a great run blocker, but zone blocking, he can get it done. He's not going to give up a lot of pressures on your quarterback. Next up, I have Jonah Williams. He's very solid, athletic tackle. If he didn't have so many, he's great at recovery, but the problem is with me is that he relies on that too much, so he'll gamble a little bit too much and then get beat. If he clears that up, he can be a number one tackle to me, franchise tackle. Next up, I have Dalton Risner. He's very, very aggressive. He's not a left tackle. He's going to be a right tackle, but he's a very aggressive run blocker, and he's solid pass blocking. He's a mauler. He's just your traditional, get out of my way, I'm moving you. He's that type of tackle. Next, I have David Edwards, very tall, lanky guy, technically sound, maybe not the strongest, but he'll be able to make it up with his technique.
All right, for me, I have Andre Dillard at number one, simply because I feel like he's the one that's not the project out of all the tackles and out of most of the linemen in this draft.
He's the safest bet.
Yeah, he's the safest bet, safest prospect. He's what you see is what you're going to get, and you can develop him even more. But at minimum, his floor is very high.
Yeah.
At two, I have Jonah Williams simply because he could be the best tackle out of everybody, maybe the best offensive lineman that comes out of this draft. He's great size. He's great recovery speed, like you said, and I feel like his arm length is pretty good. So he'll be able to seal off guys, but you also see him get blown off the ball a good bit.
Yeah.
So that's
why I said he relies on the recovery a little too much.
Yeah, his bull rush, defending against the bull rush for him may not be his best suited attribute. Three, I have Jawan Taylor, Florida, offensive tackle. I feel like he's kind of just like Andre Dillard, maybe not as fine-tuned to the extent that Dillard is, but
a little better run blocking, a little worse pass blocking.
Yeah, but you're getting basically the opposite of what Dillard is, but on the run side. Kajust, Yanni Kajust is my number four tackle. I think he's going to be solid. Tackle, guard, whatever you want to put him at.
He's a guy who can play all over the line.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to get taken in the first two rounds easily.
Very Isaiah Wynn like.
Yeah. Number five, I have Isaiah Prince from Ohio State. Ohio State offensive linemen, they usually develop well. And you know what? I just said, screw it. Let's put him in there. I feel like he'll succeed with whatever team he goes to, and maybe even be a great bench player, come in and fill in for, let's say, Jason Peters. All right, now we're going to go into the guards. I have Cody Ford at number one. I feel like he's going to be a great power blocker. He can really move people. He's going to be a great mover, kind of like how Will Hernandez was, but he's also going to be able to play zone runs if he really has to. Number two, I have Greg Little. He's currently listed as a tackle. I think he's going to move into guard simply because he needs work done, and to get that fine tuning done, it's not going to get exposed as much maybe as a guard, and he's big enough to play guard. Maybe I think he also has a long enough arms to play guard, and he'll be able to keep his head on his shoulders there, and be able to not maybe have all the pressure in the world on him since he was a high recruit out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
He was a 5-star. He's one of the best tackles coming out. So I feel like that's really going to suit him well. Number 3, I have Dalton Risner. I think he's going to move into guard as well, simply because of his ability to manhandle.
Yeah.
And he's a 4-year starter at Kansas State. Gritty, tough guy. Somebody you'd want inside your line.
Yeah.
Can also play tackle. He wouldn't be a left tackle, right tackle, one of those kind of guys. Number 4, I have Michael Dieter. Is that his first name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wisconsin. Those Wisconsin guys.
Yeah.
They're always thick, strong boys.
Yeah. Strong and good technique, I was gonna say.
Yeah, very white. You should expect what you hear out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Not really much to say after that.
Yeah.
Number 5, I have Chris Lindstorm, Boston College. He's been a great blocker for them for, I forget how long. 4-year starter?
I think he's been 3-year starter.
Yeah, 3-year starter. He's probably been one of their biggest successors for their offensive and their recent success because he's been able to
Be consistent.
be a key in that offensive line's
Yeah.
call
Yeah.
engine.
Right.
Help them run.
All right. So my number 1 guard is Cody Ford, like you said. He's. I mean, all around, he's good at everything. He's just a. There's not much to say about it.
Yeah.
He's very good at everything he does. He's not elite at anything necessarily, but he's very, very good at everything you want out of a guard. Next up, I had Michael Dieter. Yep. Like we said, strong, very technique sound. Next up, I had Bo Benchwell. It's basically the exact same player as.
Copycat.
Yeah, he's the same player as Dieter. I think he's a little bit taller, a little less athletic. Next up, I had Michael Jordan, out of Ohio State. He currently played tackle for them, but I think he's going to kick in to guard.
He can play anywhere on the line.
Yeah, like Cody Ford, he's just solid all around, and maybe to a lesser extent than Cody Ford. Then I have B.J. Autry. He's a big guy out of Jacksonville State. Super athletic. He's a little bit of a project, but if you get him technique sound and get him to understand how to play the game a little bit better, he's going to be a monster. I mean, he's athletic enough to pull, and he's strong enough to move mountains. I mean, he's great.
What is he called?
He'll probably put up the highest bench press and be one of the most athletic guards. He's just an athletic freak. Now we're moving on to my favorite position, the center. Elkton Jenkins, that's going to be my number 1. He's a very strong guy. He's been the head of the Mississippi State offensive line for about 3 years, I think. He's a 3-year starter. Very smart guy, strong, athletic. He's going to be able to handle anything you throw at him. Next up, I have Ross Pierce-Bacher. He was the center for Alabama. Same type of center, honestly, as Elkton Jenkins, except not quite as big, not quite as strong. So I put Jenkins ahead of him. After him, I have Eric McCoy from Texas A&M. He's a very big guy. He's athletic center. Kind of reminds me of Jason Kelsey. He's going to be someone who can snap and pull. Very athletic, solid center. Next up, I have Garrett Bradbury from NC State. Very technically sound, probably the most technically sound offensive lineman in this draft. His only problem is he's not very strong, so he might be bullied by some nose tackles a little bit. Might want to have somebody to fill in sometimes for him his rookie year until he builds up that strength a little bit. Then last I have Jesse Burkett from Stanford. He's to be cliche, he's a very smart guy. He understands how football works. He understands how to use a defensive lineman's momentum against him, and he's not very strong, but he's just smart in the way he plays, and that always pays off in the NFL.
Yeah, I also have Elkton Jenkins at number 1. I feel like he's the best center prospect. Maybe if somebody really needs the guard help and they really want him to play a guard, he could also swing the guard. And that's the same to go with my number 2, Michael Jordan. I feel like he's going to be able to play center if he really has to. Maybe be like a Pat Elfline.
Yeah.
Play center, play guard, can do it both.
He can.
Can pull well,
He can play tackle too.
plays strong, plays physical.
Yeah.
I like him. Who's my number 3? Oh, Eric McCoy out of Texas A&M. He's solid, solid all around. I don't really have much to say about it. I haven't watched much about these centers.
Yeah. Most exciting position in the NFL.
Yeah. Who I have it for? Garrett Bradbury. I don't know much about him.
Taking my word on that,
Yeah,
basically.
He's all right.
Yeah.
Got some strength issues. And then at number 5, I actually know who this guy is, Ross Pierbacher. Pierschbacher. He's Alabama center. I thought he played well, and he had a lot of tasks in that national championship game, but I felt like he didn't do any.
He wasn't flustered.
No, he wasn't flustered. He didn't shoot himself in the foot at all.
Yeah.
So that's all I have for the centers. Head into the edge rushers. Number 1, I have Nick Bosa. I think he's the best prospect in this draft, even though Trent may disagree.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to be the most complete edge rusher in this draft class, and I wouldn't say he has the most potential, but he has a very high ceiling, similar to his brother. You go watch how Joey Bosa played. Nick Bosa plays the same way.
Yeah.
Number 2, I feel like this is one of my favorite guys in the draft, Josh Allen. I think he did fantastic at Kentucky. He really helped his draft stock this season. He really showed up and balled out. Got a ton of sacks. He's going to be an elite edge rusher in my opinion.
He reminds me of Tremaine Edmonds a little bit, just a little bit. Ability to play inside and out, big, athletic.
He's going to be simply an edge rusher.
Sorry, continue.
My number 3, I forget who I put there. Oh yeah, I put Clellan Ferrell there. He's the Clemson do-it-all guy. He really was productive this year. And if the top 2 people, Nick Bosa and Josh Allen, weren't here, he's probably a top 5 pick in any other draft, simply because he's very productive and he shows the tools and attributes to get it all done, inside and out. Gritty, physical guy. I really like him going in the middle rounds, maybe even at the end of the top 10 picks. At number 4, I had
Zach Allen?
No, Zach Allen's fine. Oh yeah, Brian Burns from FSU. He was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school.
Very raw.
Yeah, he's very raw. He's very long, and reminds me a lot of Daniil Hunter. You see him put on a lot of muscle. This in an NFL program, I think he's going to really be a monster and somebody that you're not going to want to line up against simply because he could swim you, he could spin you.
Yeah, he's not in my top 5, but he's someone to watch out for because if he puts it together, he's going to be great.
Yeah,
that's coming from a FSU fan.
Yeah, he's very raw too. Yeah, like you said,
he's extremely raw.
And then
he never had the coaching he deserved.
Yeah, and then he should have went to Virginia Tech.
He should have. I'm being honest. Yeah.
That we gave him the offers between us and FSU, and he picked FSU.
I would have been mad at the moment, but he should have gone to VTech.
The next guy I have is Zach Allen from Boston College. I think he's a great situational edge rusher, and he's going to fill a great void in a team lacking that edge rusher. And I think he can.
Very strong.
I feel like he can produce immediately. I'd like to see him on the Green Bay Packers.
He reminds me of Joey Bosa.
Really?
Yeah. He's a very strong
He
guy.
reminds me of Clay Matthews.
His bull rush is great. Have you seen his bull rush? His bull rush is great.
Didn't work in Dalton Risner and Pro.
Mine's Dalton Risner. But anyways, my number 1 edge rusher is of course Nick Bosa. He does have a very similar play style to Joey Bosa, but I think I don't think he's quite as strong. I don't think he's quite as athletic as his brother, but he's still a very, very good player. Next up, I have Josh Allen. He has the highest ceiling in this draft. Like we said, very long, very athletic, great all-around player. Number 3, I have Ja'Kai Polite out of the University of Florida. He has some of the same characteristics as Josh Allen, maybe not as laterally athletic, but a little stronger than Josh Allen. very very solid prospect, very solid player. Then I have Montez Sweat. He's very similar to Preston Smith, also out of Mississippi State. Strong, solid technique. He'll just 8 sacks a year, good in the run game, just a productive, solid guy. He doesn't have a high ceiling, but doesn't have his floor is also very high. Number 5 on my list, I have Clelin Ferrell. Like you said, great production, great career at Clemson University, but he reminds me a lot of Shaq Lawson. And if you don't put him in the perfect position, he's not going to be able to replicate what he did at Clemson. The defensive line, we decided to put guys who will be defensive line no matter what. So, like, if they're D-tackle, 3-4 D-tackle, 4-3 D-tackle, 4-3 D-end, 3-4 D-end, any of that, they're all in here. My number 1 prospect, not only as a defensive lineman in the draft, Quinnen Williams. He's a very, very good player. He just barely tapped into his potential last year at Alabama. He's very athletic, very strong. He's all around great, and he should be a game wrecker next year as a rookie. Then I have Rashawn Gary, who is one of the most hyped prospects coming out of high school. His first couple of years, he didn't really match the hype at Michigan, but this past year he was great. He's able to play all over the defensive line from 4-3 DN to 3-4 nose tackle. He's just a very versatile guy. Next I have Ed Oliver. If y'all heard the hype on him, he's a little light. He's light to be
undersized.
Yeah, he's
a little Aaron Donald like.
Yeah, he's a little light, a little undersized. He kind of has the build, weight wise, to be an edge rusher, but he's going to be a guy who just kills you with speed. Like you said, very Aaron Donald like. So if he was a little heavier, a little sturdier, I might have him up higher. But Aaron Donald's the exception. He's not the rule. Next up at number 4, I have the guy I have at number 4 is Christian Wilkins.
Yeah.
He was very solid run stopper, but Clelin Ferrell was more of the run stopper for them, and Christian Wilkins was the guy who, they kind of took the theory of pushing the envelope where you want your pressure coming in from the inside and the edge guys just to set the edge, not let the quarterbacks get out. Christian Wilkins is great at getting a pass rush in the middle. He tends to get upfield a little bit too much, like the Rams had an issue with this season, and give up runs up the middle, but great player overall, and just some coaching to work out those kinks. Last, I have Jeffrey Simmons, just a big, strong guy. He's not really gonna be a pass rusher, but you're not running on him, and that's about all I have to say about him.
All right, my number 1, I have Quinnen Williams. I feel like he's a top 5 prospect. Got some character issues though.
He's the number 1 prospect.
He's a top 5 prospect. He's not going number 1.
Character issues?
He does have character issues.
How?
He's toxic.
How?
He's got an ego.
How?
What do you mean how? He has an ego.
How? What grounds do you have?
What grounds?
Yeah, on what grounds?
There's been reports on ESPN about him having character issues.
Quinnen Williams is number 1.
He's got a character issue.
Quinnen Williams
It's a
is
problem, Trent. It's a problem. But he is also a problem on the field.
Yeah.
And that is something that NFL teams will not disagree with, and that is why he will land in the top 5. And if he slides, it's going to be because of that issue. And if they do pass on, they're passing on a franchise guy. At number 2, same guys Trent had, Rashawn Gary. I think he's going to be a great 3-tech. Maybe fill that void in Atlanta. I feel like that would be a great fit for him. Love to see him in Atlanta, rocking that red, the Dirty Bird red.
Red and black.
Filling that Grady Jarrett role.
Out there with Tack McKinley.
Yeah.
Best draft ever.
At number 3, I have Ed Oliver. I think he has the potential to be one of the best interior linemen in this draft. Could be better than Quinnen Williams if he finds a better fit. Could be more productive, but he also has a character issue.
Yeah.
He's got a big head on him.
Yeah.
Thinks he's all that all the time. Everything's about him, but he's gonna have to learn that everything's not always about him. At number 4, Trent and I also agreed on this one. We have Christian Wilkins. He can play anywhere on the D-line. He could be your edge rusher. He could be your DN. He could be your D-tackle. He could be your nose tackle if you really want him to be that. He's very versatile.
Him and Rashawn Gary are pretty similar.
Yeah, he probably could have entered the draft last year, been a top 10 pick, but he wanted to stay and win another championship. And that's a guy that you want on your team. You want a guy that's going to stay home if he really likes where he's playing. He's not going to go leave for some other better opportunity that he assumes. And then I have Roquan Davis at 5. I think he was supposed to have this Quinnen Williams here, and he still has that potential. And I feel like it hasn't been even tapped into. You haven't seen him at his best. You haven't seen him show you who he really is.
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah, because doesn't Alabama run a 3-4?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Quinnen Williams basically had that role, and Roquan Davis wasn't able to show it. It's like they're running backs.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how Alvin Kamara is. He left. Yeah. I feel like when Roquan Davis leaves, he's going to be like Alvin Kamara, but as a D lineman. Yeah. We're going to head into the linebackers, the true 4-3 linebackers, not really edge rushers. My first linebacker is Devin White from LSU. He's rangy. He's versatile. Sideline to sideline guy. Makes all the plays. That's Devin White for you.
Yeah.
Devin Bush, my number 2, Michigan. Kind of like the same player. They got the same name. Might as well have the same last name. You see them. You saw him making a lot of plays at Michigan, filling gaps, filling holes. Not really the big hitter, but solid guy there. Number 3, I have Trey Lamar from Clemson. I feel like he can be your casual NFL starter. Nothing special out of him. Not really that fiery in my opinion. Doesn't bring in enough, but he's gonna be all right. Number 4, I have Dakota Allen. This guy is from Last Chance U. Went to Texas Tech. He was easily their best defender. Easily made all their plays on defense whenever they did make plays on defense because it's Texas Tech. They don't play defense.
Yeah.
So he's a guy to watch out for in the middle rounds. At number 5, I have DeAndre Walker. Watch out if he runs a good 40 time. He's going to be great if he does. And some team will find him later, and he's going to be a steal.
Yeah, my number 1 is Devin Bush. Number 2, Devin White. These are 2 players who are very, very similar. Devin White's a little bit more athletic, but Devin Bush, when I watch Devin Bush, he just has a little bit more of that dog in him. He just has that more want.
Dog mentality.
Yeah, he's got a want to be great, and I don't think Devin White has the same ability. I'm not saying he doesn't want it, but I'm just saying Devin Bush brings that at another level. Next up at number 3, I have Mac Wilson. He reminds me a lot of Reggie Ragland. He's a thumper, but I think he's more athletic, and Nick Saban has him more prepared in pass coverage, and he's just a little bit better than what Reggie Ragland was. He's going to be a pretty solid linebacker. Next up, I have DeAndre Walker, very rangy guy. He played the same role as Roquan Smith, has the same type of play style. If he shows to be as athletic as Roquan Smith, like you said, he's going to be someone who, he's going to be a very good linebacker for somebody. Next, I have Khalil Hodge. I don't know much about his athletic ability, but what I see on tape is he's a very good run stopper, very good run defender. He's good. He's good at getting up into the holes and stopping the run, and he might have a little bit of weaknesses in pass coverage, but if he has the athleticism for it, he'll find a coach who can teach him how to do what he needs to do. On to the quarterback position. My number 1 is going to be Greedy Williams. He is a very solid cornerback. He's got a little bit of a Marcus Peters to him, where he gambles a lot, and he's going to be a ball hawk. He's going to make plays for your defense. Might have to watch out for him to gamble a little bit too much, and he's got a little bit of an attitude. But
what corner doesn't?
Yeah, what corner doesn't, and he's going to be a very, very good NFL cornerback. Not much more to say there. Next up, I have DeAndre Baker. He's kind of the exact opposite of Greedy Williams. He's just going to be very technically sound, quiet, do his job. He's very athletic, great recovery speed. He's going to be locked down, and that's it is what it is. Number 3, I have Byron Murphy. He's kind of the mix of those two, where he's long, athletic, rangy. He can make the big play, but he knows when to make the jump. He knows when to go out and do it. He doesn't quite have the recovery speed, and he's not quite as good making plays on the ball, so that's why I have him under both of them. Number 4, I have Amani Oruwariye. He's a tall guy. He needs to work on playing the ball. If he were to play the ball better, he would be able to get more picks, but he's always in position to make a play. He's always right on the receiver. He's great man coverage, zone coverage, little shaky. Next up, I have Kendall Sheffield. He's very similar to DeAndre Baker, but not quite as fast, not quite as physical at the line. So move him down to about number 5.
Number 1, I also have Greedy Williams. I feel like he has the most potential, but he doesn't have the highest floor.
Mm-hmm.
He could easily flop out and be like, what's his name? One guy the Browns took a few years ago.
I know who you're talking about, Justin something.
Yeah, something.
From OK State.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy.
Justin Gilbert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see him being as Justin Gilbert flopping, but let's hope he doesn't, because if he does, might as well just move him back to safety.
Yeah.
He could easily play safety, can make all the plays on the ball that you want. Maybe not the best tackler in the world, but you want him defending the best receiver on the other team.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I have Byron Murphy. I think he's the most complete prospect in the cornerback position this year, simply because, in my opinion, he's Denzel Ward 2.0. I think he's going to be able to make the plays on the ball. He's going to be able to take his pick six ability. He has lockdown ability. He can tackle. He's all around solid. At 3, I have DeAndre Baker. I think he's more of a slot corner. I think he can play slot very well. Play like if you need a better tackler on the field, but you don't want to bring a safety on the field, bring in some more speed. You got him there. You'll be great with that package in. At number 4, I have Rock Ya-Sin. He's been showing out in the Senior Bowl. I think he's going to be another one of those guys that can come up and make plays in the box if he has to from the cornerback position. I also think that he's a great cover guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more of a zone corner.
Yeah.
Number 5, I have Trayvon Mullen. Championship game. He played pretty well. Didn't he have a pick? Yeah, he had a pick.
Mm-hmm.
That really helps his draft stock, and Clemson corners usually are all right. They're not really the greatest thing ever, but they can produce whenever they have to. They take some time to develop. But right, now on to the safeties. We have last position group.
Mm-hmm.
My number 1 is Deontay Thompson. He had a lackluster game against Clemson in the championship game. He didn't really produce as much as maybe first round grades would be projected to play. So I feel like he might fall a little bit because of that. Maybe he'll fall to the Redskins like you may want.
Yeah, that would be nice.
He may go to the Panthers. He's gonna go in the teen range. He's rangy. He may not be as great as a safety as Derwin James was last year, but he's an immediate starter and a guy that you want on your NFL team simply because he's sound and he doesn't have really any attitude issues.
Yeah.
Number 2, I have Nasir Adderley, Delaware. He has great potential. Hasn't played the best competition like other people have in this class, but he's great speed, great zone safety.
He's definitely a free safety.
Yeah, you can see him playing in Harrison Smith. No, not Harrison.
No,
because he can't hit like Harrison.
Yeah.
That's hit man.
He's like an elite cooker. He's gonna play center field. He's gonna go back and
that's a good comp.
Yeah.
3, I have Juan Thornhill from Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be great playing in the box, playing in the slot. He could do that. He's a Swiss Army knife in my opinion.
Yeah.
He can make plays anywhere, tackling, catching, breaking up passes, disrupting the run up the middle. See him anywhere on the field. You want him there.
Yeah, I think he's more of a slot corner than a safety, but pick your poison.
Number 4, I have Jonathan Abram from Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. I don't have much to say about him. I haven't really watched much other than these safeties. Marvell Tell, though, I do know him. He's one of the better DBs on USC. Made a lot of plays for them, and I find him really fitting into Tampa 2. I could see him really finding his comfort there and playing to his abilities.
Yeah. All right, so my number 1 is Deontay Thompson. I'm very high on him. I think he's a top 5 prospect in this draft. He reminds me a lot of Ed Reed, honestly. Very rangy cornerback, or safety, sorry. He's just good at everything. He's going to be a very great player in my opinion. Next up, I have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He reminds me a lot of Jabril Peppers. He can honestly do anything. He's great in coverage. He can match up on tight ends. He can play some slot, play some
So
linebacker.
he's 1-4.
No, he's better.
Oh no.
He's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He's a great player, and he's going to produce at a very high level next year. My number 3 is Nasir Adderley. We already talked about him. Free safety. You know, he's going to cover up top, center fielder, make some plays on the ball. He's not going to give up big plays. He's not really a hitter, but he can make the tackles.
If you're miss, I guess they never
Alright.
miss.
Number 4, I have
Jonathan Abel.
I have Jonathan Abram. Gonna be completely honest. Whenever I watched Mississippi State, didn't really bounce off the screen to me, so that's kind of worrisome. But apparently, he's a very solid safety. He's not someone who's extremely athletic. He's not someone who's gonna jump off the screen.
Yeah.
But he's just going to do his job and very good at it. Next up, for my number 5 position, I have Taylor Rapp. Early in the season, people were very high on him and kind of fell off. He got injured late in the season, and the Huskies secondary just completely went off a cliff, and he's just a really great leader, solid all around safety.
Yep, well, that's going to wrap it up for our NFL Draft Prospects top 5 positional groups. Leave a like, comment, subscribe.